Sick millionaire amazes everyone by waking up to reveal secret to married black beggar woman. In the heart of New York City, gossip buzzed like an unsatisfied fly across a lavish estate. Unkempt grass sprawled beneath marbled columns, where a grand mansion loomed over the street like a sleek shadow. Whispers danced on the lips of every passerby, their eyes wide as the headline blared in bold letters across their phones. Sick millionaire amazes everyone by waking up to reveal secret to married black beggar woman. Daisy Montgomery, clutching her canvas bag filled with paint tubes and brushes, stared at the article. Each word felt like a sting, a reminder of how far she had fallen, from the rising art restorer celebrated for her skill, to debt-ridden, grasping at straws to keep her mother's home. The looming specter of unpaid medical bills haunted her every step. Gail Anderson, the rumored millionaire, might not only save her family's legacy. He was said to be on the edge of death, now potentially revived. There had been murmurs about an arrangement, a marriage of convenience that could ease their burdens. As she entered the estate's marble foyer, the air hummed with the scent of fresh paint and varnish. In the sun-drenched gallery, she expected the frail figure of a dying man, maybe tied to a hospital bed or a wheelchair. Instead, Gail stood before her, towering and vibrant. Thick wavy hair framed a strong jaw. His eyes sparkled with a mischievous glimmer that contrasted starkly against the somber portraits lining the walls. "Welcome, Daisy," he said, extending a hand. "I hear you're the best." A jolt like electricity shot through her as they shook hands. Could this be the man who held the fate of her future? The chaos outside seemed muted now, and she felt an unexpected pull towards Gail. He wasn't dying. He was alive, bursting wit. Could his family truly have motivations darker than his wealthy exterior? Just when their bond began to form like wet paint on canvas, a distant crash echoed through the mansion. Alarm bells rang and panic swelled. Hard eyes filled with contempt peered into the room from the doorway. "You shouldn't be here," a woman spat, arms crossed. Daisy's heart raced. The threat was palpable. As emotions spiraled, Daisy could no longer ignore the sting of connections growing amidst danger. And just when plans began to unfold, a chilling phone call shattered the moment. A hollow voice warned, "Someone wants him dead." The ground beneath her shifted, and Daisy found herself questioning her choice. Would love bloom in devastation? What secrets were lurking just beyond the light? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their I love getting to know each incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Just as panic tightened its grip on Daisy's chest, the woman in the doorway shot forward, eyes blazing with fury. "Why are you here?" she spat, advancing like a storm. Daisy's heart pounded. Gail's gaze darted between them, confusion etching his brow. That's when the phone rang again, more insistent this time. The voice on the other end dripped with urgency. "You need to get out. They're coming for him. It's not safe." The woman's lips curled into a smirk, sharpened by the tension. "You think he's gonna save you? He's just another rich fool playing games." Her presence simmered like a snake poised to strike. Daisy's stomach twisted. Could she trust Gail? He'd shown sparks of kindness, but now vulnerabilities flickered around them, threatening to engulf them both. The air felt thick, almost electric, as every intention morphed into something darker. She stepped back, blood rushing in her ears, overwhelmed by the need to escape this sudden hostility. "Wait," Gail said, confusion clouding his eyes. "What's going on?" The woman laughed, a sharp and bitter sound. You really don't know, do you? The family's been hiding secrets, and you, she pointed accusatorily at Daisy, are just a pawn in a very dangerous game. Daisy's breath hitched. The moment stretched, thick with uncertainty. What family secrets? She could feel the room closing in, and an ice-cold dread settled in her bones. Suddenly, the distant echo of footsteps thundered down the hallway. The woman's expression shifted from contempt to fear. We need to go. Now! Gale froze, confusion battling against instinct. What do you mean? Who's coming? Your family, the woman whispered, panic slicing through her tone. They want you back. You're not really free. That revelation struck Daisy like a physical blow. What do you mean, not free? Her heart raced. The pieces twisted and turned in her mind like a kaleidoscope of betrayal. What truth lay hidden beneath Gale's vibrant exterior? In the world of the wealthy. The woman continued, freedom is a mirage. They'll do anything to keep control, and you're caught in their web. Before Daisy could reply, the room erupted in chaos. The door burst open, and two men in dark suits surged inside, their faces a blur of intensity. The air crackled with a sudden, suffocating tension as one of them fixed his eye on Gale. We have to leave, now. Gale's face paled, and Daisy caught the flicker of fear before it was replaced by determination. I'm not going anywhere until I know what's happening. But you don't understand, the woman shrieked, desperation clawing at her voice. They'll silence you. All of you. Then Gale's expression shifted. A flicker of awareness sparked in his eyes. What did you mean earlier? About being a pawn? In that moment, Daisy felt the ground beneath her feet crumble away. Questions piled on top of questions. As realization dawned, shadows in the corners of the room seemed to close in tighter, blurring the lines between ally and adversary. Gale was a player in this dangerous game, trapped in a world where nothing was as it seemed. Before she could process the implications, Gale turned to the men, resolve hardening in his voice. If my family's involved in this, then I need to confront them. We'll expose the truth. No, the woman cried, her voice high and frantic. You don't know what you're inviting. You're standing on a precipice, and if you fall, we all fall. Daisy felt her heart race louder than ever, drowning out the other voices. The truth loomed large, and the threat was palpable. What kinds of secrets hid behind the gilded walls of Gale's life? As the men moved in closer, the desperation palpable in the air, Daisy realized she had crossed a point of no return. In the heart of chaos, she gripped her canvas bag tighter, knowing one truth. Everything she thought she knew about Gale, about her own path, might vanish in an instant. Just then, the lights flickered, almost mockingly, casting an eerie glow. As the lights flickered ominously, Daisy felt a sickening tightening in her chest. The urgency hung in the air like a thick fog, pressing against her thoughts. She glanced at Gale, whose determination felt both brave and foolish under the circumstances. The men in dark suits loomed closer, their eyes scanning the room, punting for something or someone. Leave now, the woman hissed, her voice raw, full of fear. The words shot through Daisy like a bullet. She didn't want to be a pawn in this twisted game. She wanted to reclaim her life, to save her family. But how could she when chaos churned all around her? Let me confront them. Gale's voice broke through the din, stronger now. But even as he said it, the chaos erupted. The door smashed open wider, nearly flying off its hinges. A third man crashed into the room, panting, his expression wild. Get out! They're here! He shouted, eyes darting, frantic. His breath came out in ragged gasps, the urgency palpable. The woman's smirk faded into a look of pure terror. "We can't stay. We have to go." Gale hesitated, caught between bravado and wisdom. But before they could make a decision, the lights went out entirely. Darkness swallowed the room. Panic ensued. The air crackled with unwanted energy. Daisy's heart raced in tandem with the urgency. "This way!" she shouted, her instincts kicking in. She grabbed Gale's wrist and dragged him towards the door, the figure of the woman right behind them. The room was buzzing with whispers of betrayal, the clatter of footsteps echoing closer. Then, in the dark, a voice rang out like a bell, clear, cutting through the chaos. "Stop!" Daisy froze, recognition smacking into her like a wave. That voice, it held authority, and the undertone struck a chilling chord within her. A spotlight flickered on, illuminating the figure at the end of the hallway. A man dressed in a crisp suit, flanked by two others. He wore an unsettling smile, one that promised secrets and horrors lurking underneath. "Gale," the man said, his voice smooth, "you think you can just run away from your family, from your past?" Daisy's eyes widened, her grip on Gale tightened. "What do you mean?" But before she could process the implications, the man stepped forward, his gaze narrowed sharp. "You should have never left, Gale. Did you think we wouldn't find you again?" A chill rippled through the room. Gale's bravado waned, confusion clouding his expression. "What's happening? Who are you?" The man chuckled, a low, sinister sound. "You really don't know? Your so-called arrangement has already been set in motion." His eyes flickered to Daisy, a lingering malice swirling behind them. "Welcome to the family game, sweetheart." Daisy felt the air leave her lungs. The chaos spoke volumes. Gale was not just some carefree millionaire, but a player in something twisted and treacherous. Her heart raced, thoughts spiraling out of control. "Game?" she echoed, the tremor in her voice barely disguising her fear. "What do you want from us?" "Control," the man replied simply, sliding a knowing glance towards Gale. "Your future is not your own, but a cover for something much bigger. A distraction from what really matters." The dim light flickered, as if the house itself were foreboding. Suddenly, a sound pierced through the tension. A crack, followed by the sound of shattering glass. The hidden truths crackled to the surface, drawing an invisible line through the room. "Daisy!" Gale's voice turned urgent, desperate. But the weight of the moment bore down on her, crashing like an avalanche. Her mind raced. What was the truth? The man stepped further into the light, revealing an emblem on his cufflink, the family crest. Recognition struck Daisy like lightning. She staggered back, her heart pounding. Everything she thought she knew shattered like glass. "Wait, this can't be. You're his brother?" she gasped, her voice trembling. "Welcome to the fold," he replied, eyes gleaming with cruel delight. "Now you see the truth, don't you? You're deep in their game now, and there's no getting out." Daisy staggered, her mind spinning. The fabric of their lives unraveled before her eyes, and realization crashed down hard. Gale wasn't just a victim. He might be central to it all. She felt vertigo hit, the ground falling away beneath her. As nothingness loomed, she fought against despair. "Gale?" she whispered, but uncertainty mingled with fear, buzzing in her veins. What were they stepping into now? What would this mean for her, for them? The room became a closing fist, and the stakes boomed louder than any warning bells she'd ever heard. In the depths of danger, she questioned everything. Something dark had shifted. It was no longer just a fight for survival. It felt like a descent into an unknown abyss, one where trust might be the most dangerous game of all. Daisy staggered back, heart racing, confusion and terror swirling inside her. The man in the suit had pierced the bubble of their fragile world, laying bare secrets that hung like smoke in the air. Gail's brother, here, now, an unexpected player, in. Stop! Gail's voice broke through the fog, desperation etched on his face. But Daisy could hardly process what he meant anymore. With each breath, the walls seemed to close in tighter around them. The dim light flickered again, shadows bending and twisting, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. "Gail," she whispered. But the crack of the glass that shattered outside pulled her back to reality. The storm was not just metaphorical. It reverberated in her chest, a warning. "What did you mean?" Gail pressed, his eyes darting between the brother and the family emblem on his cufflink. "What's happening?" "Everything. Everything you thought you could escape is real," the brother replied, his smile wider, exuding a confidence that felt unsettling. "You've been living a lie. Everything you've done," he paused, "it was all set in motion before you even took your first breath." Daisy's mind raced as she pieced the fragments together. But then a sudden series of loud thud. No, this wasn't supposed to happen yet. The door flew open again, and a wild figure burst into the room, breathless and frantic. "It's too late! They found us!" Daisy's heart sank. Who were they? She felt a chill ripple across her skin. Time felt frozen yet fast. Reality wavered around her like a mirage. But the brother cut him off, eyes darkening. "You have to trust me. We need to go now." Then, in an instant, the door slammed shut. Daisy swung around, heart hammering in her chest. Frantic hands fumbled for the doorknob. It was locked tight, as if the mansion itself had conspired against them. The brother raised his voice, sharp as glass. "Trust me, Gail. They won't hesitate to kill us." Daisy's breath caught in her throat as a wave of nausea washed over her. "Kill us?" she echoed, fear threading through her. The lights flickered again, then died, plunging them into pitch darkness. Heart pounding, Daisy's instincts kicked in. "We need to find a way out," she shouted. But as her words echoed in the void, she felt the undeniable weight of despair. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the silence, chilling her bones. "No, no, don't!" It was the frantic voice of the woman, slicing through the air like a knife. The brother darted forward. "We have to get to her." In that moment, a sick realization hit Daisy, chilling her to the core. You know her. It wasn't just a random confrontation. The chaotic web was tighter and thicker than she imagined. Before she could think, the room trembled as the door burst open, revealing a sight that felt like a punch to the gut. A group of figures swarmed in, dark suits and sinister smiles plastered across their faces. "We found him," one said, his eyes glinting with malice. "And now, dear brother, it's time you come home." Gail shoved Daisy behind him, protective yet vulnerable. "You planted all of this, didn't you?" he demanded. "This was your plan." "Indeed," the brother sneered, eyes narrowed. "But you see, the twist is far deeper than you know." He leaned in closer, tension crackling in the air. "Your life, Gail, was staged. The marriage, Daisy, is only a means to an end." Daisy felt her stomach drop. What? A means to what end? Panic surged as realization began to seep in, the truth feeling more elusive than ever. Her art background made her the perfect distraction, Gail. You were to marry her, live happily while we swept in to deal with our real enemies. Gail's face paled, shock written all over him. You used me? You used her? A cold smile danced across the brother's lips. Welcome to the real game, my dear brother. And it's a lot more than just survival. With that chilling confession, The room felt like it was collapsing. Daisy's breath quickened. Every doubt she had about trust, every flicker of hope she had fought for, seemed to unravel like thread pulled from fabric. Could she have been nothing more than a pawn all along? Just as the world's weight bore down harder on her, a loud, shattering crash echoed from the hallway, followed by a voice, familiar yet haunting, calling her name. Daisy! Her heart stopped. It couldn't be. But in that desperate moment, all she could think of was how everything was about to shatter in ways she couldn't even begin to imagine. Daisy staggered back, heart racing, confusion and terror swirling inside her. The man in the suit had pierced the bubble of their fragile world, laying bare secrets that hung like smoke in the air. Gale's brother, here now, an unexpected player in this sinister game. Your future is not your own. His words rang in her ears, a grim reminder of the binds they all wore. Stop! Gale's voice broke through the fog, desperation etched on his face. But Daisy could hardly process what he meant anymore. With each breath, the walls seemed to close in tighter around them. The dim light flickered again, shadows bending and twisting, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Gale, she whispered, but the crack of the glass that shattered outside pulled her back to reality. The storm was not just. Gale pressed, his eyes darting between the brother and the family emblem on his cufflink. What's happening? Everything. Everything you thought you could escape is real, the brother replied, his smile wider, exuding a confidence that felt unsettling. You've been living a lie. Everything you've done. He paused. It was all set in motion before you even took your first breath. Daisy's mind raced as she pieced the fragments together, but then a sudden series of loud thuds echoed from the hall. Panic erupted. Gale's brother glanced toward the noise. No, this wasn't supposed to happen yet. The door flew open again, and a wild figure burst into the room, breathless and frantic. It's too late. They found us. Daisy's heart sank. Who were they? She felt a chill ripple across her skin. Time felt frozen, yet fast. Reality wavered around her like a mirage. Who? Gale started, but the brother cut him off, eyes darkening. You have to trust me. We need to go, now. Then, in an instant, the door burst open, revealing a sight that felt like a punch to the gut. A group of figures swarmed in, dark suits and sinister smiles plastered across their faces. We found him, one said, his eyes glinting with malice. And now, dear brother, it's time you come home. Gale shoved Daisy behind him, protective yet vulnerable. You planted all of this, didn't you? He demanded. This was your plan. Indeed, the brother sneered, eyes narrowed. But you see, the twist is far deeper than you know. He leaned in closer, tension crackling in the air. Your life, Gale, was staged. The marriage, Daisy, is only a means to an end. Daisy felt her stomach drop. What? A means to what end? Panic surged as realization began to seep in, the truth feeling more elusive than ever. Her art background made her the perfect distraction, Gale. You were to marry her, live happily, while we swept in to deal with our real enemies. Gale's face paled, shock written all over him. You used me? You used her? A cold smile danced across the brother's lips. Welcome to the real game, my dear brother. And it's a lot more than just survival. With that chilling confession, the room felt like it was collapsing. Daisy's breath quickened. Every doubt she had about trust, every flicker of hope she had fought for, seemed to unravel like thread pulled from fabric. Could she have been nothing more than a pawn all along? Just as the world's weight bore down harder on her, a loud, shattering crash echoed from the hallway, followed by a voice, familiar yet haunting, calling her name. Daisy! Her heart stopped. It couldn't be. But in that desperate moment, all she could think of was how everything was about to shatter in ways she couldn't even begin to imagine. The door swung open once more, revealing a figure she thought she'd never see again. You can't be safe here. The brother's smirk wiped off his face, shock rippling through his demeanor. You brought him back? This changes everything. Gale stiffened. You know him? Ethan stepped forward, panic flaring in his eyes. They've been watching us, Daisy. Watching all along. I didn't know where to find you, but I knew they'd come for you if I stayed hidden. The brother sneered. This little family reunion is cute, but it won't save you. You have no idea what you're dealing with. But before he could finish, Ethan lunged past Gale, grabbing Daisy's arm. We have to go. Now! In a heartbeat, the air shifted. One of the men in dark suits lunged toward Ethan, blocking his path. You are in deeper than you think, boy, he hissed. And Daisy barely caught the glint of a knife blade as it flashed under the dim lights. Time slowed. Daisy's breath hitched, a lump forming in her throat. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about them all. Every choice they made, every lie they lived was crumbling like a house of cards. With hearts racing, they stood on a precipice, the threat looming larger than ever. Get out of the way, Gale shouted, protective instincts kicking in. But just then, everything erupted. Ethan stumbled backward, eyes wide in disbelief. The room spun, chaos overtaking clarity. A gunshot rang out. Everything froze. Silence fell as a body hit the floor. Was it Ethan? Daisy's heart dropped, caught in a vice grip of dread, adrenaline flooding her veins. As the dust settled, every face in the room was etched with horror, and the truth loomed large, pulsating like the beat of a heavy drum. Nothing would ever be the same again. The gunshot rang out, a deafening crack that shattered the fragile tension hanging in the air. Daisy's heart dropped, a lead weight crashing into her gut. She froze, eyes darting to Ethan, who was now crumpled on the floor. A dark stain blossomed across his shirt, spreading rapidly like an ink blot on paper. No! Gale's voice was a roar cutting through the chaos. He lunged forward, but the brother stepped in, arms raised, blocking his way. Get back! Time felt like it was stretching, heartbeats echoing louder than the chaos around them. Daisy couldn't breathe. She couldn't fathom what had just happened. Ethan! Her voice cracked, panic spilling over as she rushed to his side. He lay there, eyes wide and shocked, as if he couldn't process the reality right in front of him. Blood pooled beneath him, dark and terrible. Each drop a marker of the moments slipping away. Daisy, he gasped, the pain sharp and real. She wanted to scream, to shake him awake from this nightmare, but her hands trembled as she pressed them against the wound, trying to staunch the flow. Stay with me, please. Her heart raced, a drumbeat of urgency in her chest. Gale struggled against his brother, anger flaring in his eyes. You did this, you piece of... Enough, the brother shouted, voice slicing through Gale's fury. You don't understand what you're up against. He shouldn't have been here. Daisy felt the world tilt. What do you mean? Why shouldn't he have been here? Her grip tightened around Ethan, desperation creeping into her voice. Because, the brother paused, that smirk fading into something almost human. He's the key to everything. He wasn't supposed to be found yet. Daisy's breath hitched. What are you talking about? Confusion twisted inside her. Was Ethan more than just her brother? Was this all a game? Strings pulled by hands she couldn't see? Ethan's eyes glistened. Daisy, I didn't want you to find out. His voice faded, barely a murmur, the life slipping slowly away from him. "It's too late for that now," the brother snapped, gaze flicking toward the door, panic creeping into his features as footsteps echoed from outside. "They're coming!" A cold pit formed in Daisy's stomach as realization dawned, the pieces of the puzzle shifting and clicking grotesquely into place. "Ethan, what are you—" Suddenly the lights flickered above them, plunging the room into shadow. Panic filled the air, thick and palpable. There was chaos outside, the muffled sound of yelling, footsteps pounding as if the very walls were closing in. "No, no!" Gale shouted, eyes darting around. He grabbed Daisy's arm, pulling her to him. "We need to get out, now!" But as he turned to the exit, the brother stepped back, a trap already set. Daisy's heart raced. "What do you know? What's happening?" She felt an urgency, a need for truth that screamed louder than the chaos outside. But then a strange sound pierced through, a low hum reverberating against the walls. It grew louder, a pulse that felt almost alive. "What is that?" Daisy whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "An alarm," the brother spat, eyes wide with realization. "They're coming for us all." Suddenly, the door behind them flew open, and figures clad in tactical gear stormed in. Dark visors obscured their faces, weapons raised, an impenetrable wall of authority. "Nobody move!" one shouted, voice deep and commanding. Daisy felt her heart stop. This was no rescue. This was a takeover. "Ethan!" she screamed, but the world faded around her, the noise swelling into a whirlwind of chaos. In that instant, time seemed to warp. Everything snapped into focus as she locked eyes with a figure behind the men. Someone familiar. Daisy. It was her mother. The woman who had been missing for years stood there, looking just as Daisy remembered, but older, worn. "We need to get out, now." "Ariana," the brother gasped, eyes wide. "No time for reunion," she snapped, grounding them all. "Ethan is in danger. We have to go." Daisy's mind spun. Her mother had been alive all this time, but instead of joy, a tightening dread filled her chest. What secrets lay buried beneath their family ties? The urgency surged as they pulled together, each second pulling at the seams of reality. "We need to move!" Ethan's voice was fading, yet determination surged in Daisy's veins. The men in tactical gear advanced, closing in. "Get back!" one shouted, and chaos erupted, feet scrambling, bodies moving as whispers of betrayal churned through the air. Daisy held Ethan's hand, pressing against his wound, heart hammering. Would they get out? Could they escape from the enemies lurking in the shadows? "Trust each other!" her mother shouted amidst the upheaval. "You have to! There's no time!" But as they moved toward the door, Daisy couldn't shake the feeling that everything she believed was crumbling. They might be running toward safety, or deeper into a trap. The shadows around them blurred, twisting truths that hung just out of reach. Would this new revelation about her mother save them or lead them further down a dark path? The air crackled with tension, uncertainty thick like fog. It felt like life was shifting under her feet. What lay ahead was a mystery, a danger she couldn't even begin to grasp. Would they find freedom, or would this be the start of something infinitely more complex? The men in tactical gear moved closer, their voices cold and commanding. Daisy's heart pounded like a drum, the urgency slicing through the atmosphere. "Get down," one of them shouted, and as if the world had come unhinged, chaos erupted all around. "Ethan, hold on," Daisy cried, pressing her hands tighter against his wound, panic rising like bile in her throat. She needed to save him. She had to. But the tactical team didn't care. They advanced like a wave, ruthless and overwhelming. "Out of the way," one yelled, and before Daisy could process what was happening, a struggle broke out. Gale shoved against his brother, but in an instant, Arms grabbed him, pulling him back. Ethan gasped, "Daisy, please." His eyes were wide, pleading. She couldn't let it end like this. She wouldn't. "No, Ethan!" The cry ripped from her throat, desperate and raw. Everything seemed to slow, as if the universe was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Then, she felt it, a warm trickle seeping through her fingers. "No, no," she whispered, the world narrowing down to that crimson stain spreading across his shirt. Panic turned her vision blurry, and she looked back at Gale. "What do we do?" "Get him out now," Gale shouted to his brother. But the brother stepped forward, his voice steady but cold. "We can't risk it. Your plan is killing him!" Gale yelled, anger flaring, harsh and terrible. But then, just as footsteps thundered from the hallway, a commotion erupted. A commotion Daisy couldn't quite place. A loud crash, the sound of glass breaking, and then a voice. A familiar voice. "Daisy." The world spun. "It can't be." Then the figure appeared from behind the chaos. A woman in a long coat, hair cascading wildly down her shoulders. It was her mother. The woman who had vanished years ago, now here, as if emerging from a dark fog. "Daisy!" her mother shouted. "We have to go! Now!" Shock rippled through Daisy, mixing with the horror and confusion. "Mom?" Her breath caught in her throat. The emotions battled inside her. Happiness and dread intertwined. Why are you here?" But her mother's eyes were wide with urgency. "There's no time! Ethan!" She knelt beside him, panic etched in her features. Her hands trembled as they reached for him. "What happened?" Ethan's voice grew weaker. "Mom, I thought I lost you." Tears welled in his eyes, and Daisy felt her heart twist. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. "Stop!" Gale's brother interrupted, anger radiating off him like a storm. "You can't involve her." "We have to. He's losing blood." Daisy felt desperation claw at her. She looked at her mother, then at Ethan, and back to Gale. "We need to help him." But in that moment, everything shifted. The tactical men moved closer, weapons raised. The air was thick with impending violence, tension crackling like electricity. And then it happened. A loud bang echoed through the space. But this time it wasn't from the guns. A sudden flash of light erupted, blinding and brilliant. It surged through the room, leaving Daisy momentarily disoriented. She shielded her eyes, and when she could finally see again, everything felt different. The room was silent. Everyone stood frozen. The tactical men had lowered their weapons, eyes wide in disbelief. Her mother's expression was a mask of shock, and even Gale's brother was blinking in confusion. "Stay back!" one of the men shouted suddenly, panic in his voice. The air vibrated with an energy that felt almost alive. And then, like a wave crashing down, a figure stepped through the entrance, cloaked in shadows, eyes cold and calculating. "You've all made a mess, and I hate messes." Daisy's heart dropped. "What are you talking about?" But before anyone could respond, the figure reached into a pocket and pulled out something small and metallic, holding it up for everyone to see. It shimmered, reflecting light in a way that revealed its true nature. A small device, like a timer or a detonator. Shock rippled through the room like a thunderclap. "This might change everything," the figure said, grinning. And with those words, Daisy felt the ground beneath her feet begin to tremble. "Who are you?" Gale asked, voice steady but strained. "What do you want?" "There's no time for questions," the cloaked figure replied, eyes narrowing. "But I can tell you this. All of you are playing a game you don't even understand. And now—" They leaned in closer, voice low. "It's time to pick sides." Suddenly, the mechanics of the room shifted. A door opened, but it opened into darkness, a void that felt impossibly deep, unfathomable. Daisy's vision blurred again, her heart racing. This wasn't just a fight for life anymore. It had become something twisted and treacherous, with alliances crumbling and betrayals lurking around every corner. "Mom?" The word slipped out, barely above a whisper, but the question loomed large as the new figure turned their gaze onto her, their grin widening. She felt her breath hitch, fear creeping back like a shadow. Everything was shifting again, and all the pieces she thought she had figured out began to dissolve. Secrets were smothering her. What had she stumbled into? And more importantly, who could she trust now? The line between right and wrong blurred, and Daisy felt the weight of choices pressing down, heavy and suffocating. Would this be the moment everything blew apart? The truth was a dangerous crack in their lives, and in the midst of the storm, she found herself wondering how deep the deception really went. The air hung thick with tension, swirling around them like a tempest. Daisy's heart raced, pounding in her chest, each beat reminding her of Ethan lying on the floor. The darkness buzzed with uncertainty, and the cloaked figure's words lingered like a grim shadow between them. "Time to pick sides," echoed in her mind as fear shot through her. What did that mean? What kind of game was happening here? Then, without warning, the cloaked figure raised the metallic device high, its chilling glimmer cutting through the tension. "You think any of you are safe?" Was it possible they held the key to something monumental? Gale moved closer to Daisy, protective, fierce. "Put that down," he shouted, anger flaring. But the figure just laughed, a cruel sound that cut through the air. "You don't get it, do you?" They smiled, and in that moment, something uncanny flickered behind their eyes. "Everything you thought was under control? It's just the beginning." Suddenly, without warning, the device exploded in a blinding flash, a cascade of sparks erupting as it shattered, leaving debris swirling like confetti in the air. Daisy stumbled back, her heart leaping into her throat, vision clouding momentarily. "What the hell?" Gale shouted as the force of the blast pushed them aside. Alarms blared deafeningly, resonating through the hall like a swarm of angry bees. In the chaos, time prolonged, each second stretching into eternity. Hearts racing, bodies moving in a panic to escape. But then, right in the center of all the madness, Daisy noticed. The cloaked figure staggered, hand clutching at their side, and beneath the hood, a face emerged, bathed in shadows. Daisy squinted, struggling to see, and when the light flickered back on, what she found sent shockwaves through her. The figure wasn't a stranger at all. It was someone she knew. "What? No, it can't be." She froze, disbelief etching every line of her features. "Evelyn?" Her voice trembled, echoing across the room. It was her childhood friend. Someone who had vanished years ago in a different world entirely. Someone who should have been miles away from this chaos. "Surprise." Evelyn's voice dripped with sarcasm and pain, and the shock in her eyes mirrored Daisy's. "I guess I owe you an explanation." Daisy felt a swirling storm of questions, emotions colliding like thunder in her mind. "You were here all along?" "After everything, I never left," Evelyn said, leaning against the crumbling wall for support, breath heavy. "I've been trying to protect you, both of you." Daisy glanced at Ethan, still bleeding, and back to Evelyn. "Protect us? By doing all of this?" Doubt twisted inside her. The truth felt elusive, slipping through her fingers like sand. Evelyn's gaze hardened. "You don't understand the stakes. This is more than just a family feud. It's about survival, My survival. A dawning horror crossed Gale's face. You were working for them? Working with them, Evelyn corrected, pain flashing in her eyes. But I never intended for you to get hurt. I didn't plan any of this. The silence that followed was thick enough to cut. Their worlds had collided in a way that felt disastrous. Trust had splintered, and relationships hung by a thread. The tactical men began to close in, confusion brewing amidst the chaos. Their eyes darted between Evelyn and the trio, tension crackling like electricity. Then Evelyn took a step forward, determination radiating off her. If we're going to survive this, together, we need to find a way. Listen, I have a plan. Daisy's heart raced at her words, hope flickering amidst the terror. The room felt charged, a moment suspended in time. A plan? She echoed, desperate for something, anything to grasp onto. Yes, Evelyn urged, glancing back at the oncoming threat. But I can't do it alone. We need each other, whether we like it or not. Daisy felt a surge of both hope and dread, teetering on the edge of trust. Could she really believe Evelyn? Then the door burst open behind them, the corridor flooded with light and figures emerging. More tactical agents. Time's up, one of them called out, a malicious grin lighting their face. In that moment, Daisy knew whatever plans Evelyn had wouldn't just decide their fate. They were caught in a web of decisions that could unravel everything. And the stakes had never been so high. Are you with me or not? Evelyn shouted over the chaos, eyes fierce, daring them to oppose her. Daisy's breath hitched as the weight of the moment pressed down, each second teetering on a knife's edge. What would they choose? What future lay ahead? She needed to decide, now. And the truth? It was becoming harder to distinguish among the lies. Daisy's heart raced, tangled in fear and confusion. Evelyn, her childhood friend, now stood before them, cloaked in secrets. The chaos roared around them, but the moment felt like a still pond, just before a storm. Are you with me or not? Evelyn shouted, determination etched in her features. The tactical team was closing in, weapons drawn. I'll stick with you, Gale said, stepping closer to Daisy. We have to get out. Evelyn nodded, urgency in her eyes. There's an escape route, but we have to move now. She gestured toward a side door, barely visible amidst the shadows. But just then, a sudden noise swept through the hallway, the unmistakable sound of footsteps marching in unison. They were coming for them. Daisy felt a cold wave of dread wash over her. She knew time was slipping away. Now, Evelyn shouted, and they darted toward the door, hearts pounding, breaths quickening. But as they neared the exit, a piercing scream echoed down the corridor, freezing them in place. Stop right there! A voice boomed, deep and commanding. The tactical men shifted, weapons aimed, ready for action. Daisy's pulse quickened even more. But then, a figure emerged from the darkness, stepping into the flickering light. It was a woman, tall, fierce, and unmistakably familiar. It was her mother again, but this time, different. Her eyes glinted with an intensity Daisy had never seen. Mom? Daisy whispered, confusion wrapping around her like a heavy blanket. What's happening? Daisy, her mother began, but suddenly her expression shifted, determination hardening her features. You need to listen to me. Before anyone could react, another voice cut through the tension. What kind of mess have you created? It was Gale's brother, his tone icy, eyes darting around like a hawk. Everything felt like it was spiraling out of control, with emotions swirling like a tempest. But then, an explosion. The wall next to them shattered, sending debris flying like confetti at a twisted parade. Dust filled the air, and panic set in as they struggled to see through the haze. Go! Evelyn shouted, pulling Daisy's arm. But as they stumbled forward, the ground trembled beneath them, a shockwave of chaos ricocheting through the space. In that moment, something shifted within Daisy. The smoke began to clear, and she caught sight of her mother. But what she saw sent a chill down her spine. Her mother wasn't just another player. She was a part of the game, a crucial piece, a mastermind behind the curtain. "You don't get it, Daisy. I've been trying to protect your future. We're in danger." Daisy felt her chest tighten. "Protect my future? By lying to me?" Her voice broke, emotions pouring out like a flood. "What kind of danger?" But before answers could surface, a figure slipped past Daisy's mother, a movement so swift it felt unreal. It was Ethan, moving like lightning. But he wasn't just hurt. He was holding something glinting, something small but potent. Daisy's breath caught in her throat as realization dawned. "No! Ethan! What are you doing?" she shouted, panic lacing her tone. He couldn't understand the danger he was running towards. But it was too late. Ethan pressed a button on the device, just as powerful hands lunged for him. The room erupted into chaos again, a massive explosion that sent everyone flying backward as the world turned white for a brief, terrifying instant. As the shockwave hit, everything shifted. Daisy landed hard on the ground, ears ringing, dust swirling around her. The moment dragged into eternity, and then silence. A heavy stillness settled, like the world holding its breath. When her vision cleared, she blinked into the murky dust. The tactical agents were scattered, some groaning in pain, others trying to crawl to safety. But everything felt different, as if reality had warped in some unfathomable way. And in the center, Eighth stood there, eyes wide in panic, but something flickered across his face, a tiny smirk that felt entirely wrong. She felt coldness seep into her bones as realization struck with a blade-like clarity. He wasn't a pawn. He had set this all in motion, using. "Welcome to the real game, everyone." Daisy felt the world spin. Everything she thought she knew shattered into a million pieces. This was betrayal, a twist she had never seen coming. Relationships were built on lies, and truth slipped like shadows. "Evelyn, you knew?" Daisy gasped, her heart pounding, her vision blurring with anger and hurt. "Is this why you came back? To sell us out?" "Daisy, I thought," Evelyn stammered, guilt washing over her face as the weight of choices crushed her. But before any more words could form, Eighth winked, a glint of malice dancing in his eyes. "Let the games begin. Who wants to play?" Daisy's breath caught, eyes wide, as the pieces of the puzzle exploded around her. What had they all been pulled into? What kind of nightmare was this? Desperation lurked, and as they fought for truth, it felt like they might just become victims of the very betrayal that had brought them together. Everything had changed, and now nothing would be the same again. The room was chaos. Dust hung heavy in the air, while panic rippled through the group. Daisy's heart fluttered wildly as she faced Ethan, still clutching the remnants of the device. "What have you done?" she gasped, feeling sick with fear. I thought," Ethan stammered, voice breaking. Blood trickled from his lip, the reality of the situation pressing down like a weight. "We need to move," Evelyn shouted, urgency darting through her. "This place is coming down." Gale pushed forward, eyes locked on his brother, who was recovering from the blast. "You made a choice. Now we all pay." Fury laced his words like a razor, while Daisy felt her chest tighten. It was true. Everything had spiraled into chaos. Evelyn grabbed Daisy's arm. "This way! Trust me!" She pulled her toward a narrow side door, leading away from the chaos. Daisy glanced back at Ethan, hesitation flooding her. "We can't leave him!" But the ground shook, stones rattling like thunder. Eve led the way, determination etched in her features. The echoes of chaos behind them grew fainter, but the danger still lingered, heavy in the air. "Where are we going?" Daisy gasped, her breath short, legs burning with each hurried step. "Just a few more turns," Evelyn said, glancing back. "We'll find a way out. Trust me." Daisy wanted to trust her, wanted to believe this wasn't another trap, but doubt gnawed at her. Then a loud crash from behind sent shivers down her spine. "They're coming!" The thought struck like lightning. Panic surged, and they ran faster, hearts pounding as they pushed through another door and found themselves in an empty ballroom, the air thick with tension and memories. "Is this a dead end?" Gale shouted, surveying the room. Shadows flickered in the fading light. He looked at Evelyn. "You said you had a plan." "I do. There's a hidden staircase," she replied, urgency coating her words. "But we need to be quick." As they moved further into the room, the flickering light suddenly gave way to silence. Daisy's breath caught as she spotted the magnificent chandelier hanging above. Fragile and beautiful, but ominous all the same. "Anyone have a plan B?" Gale's voice was tense, searching for any glimmer of hope. Evelyn gestured toward a panel on the wall. "There, just pull." They rushed over, and Daisy's fingers found the edge of the panel. It creaked open, revealing a steep staircase descending into darkness. "Let's go," they urged each other, fear propelling them forward. Gale was the last to dive in, shutting the panel behind them just as the sound of shouting echoed through the ballroom above. They descended into the cold embrace of the stairs, the darkness enveloping them like a heavy fog. "Do you think will we make it?" Daisy whispered, fear clawing at her throat. Evelyn turned to her, jaw set. "We have to. We won't let them take us." Her determination fueled Daisy's flicker of hope. At the bottom, they stepped into an abandoned subway station, track lights flickering ominously, casting eerie shadows. "This has to lead out," Evelyn said, relief brightening her features slightly. But just then, a bright light pierced through the tunnel. Daisy's heart raced as headlights approached, growing closer. "Get back!" Gale shouted, ushering them away just as a train thundered past, shaking the ground. The moment felt charged. As the train passed, they caught a glimpse of the passengers inside. Ordinary faces, unaware of the chaos lurking just outside their world. "Is it safe?" Daisy asked, her voice trembling. "Maybe, but we can't stay here," Evelyn replied. "We need to reach the surface and—" Suddenly, a sound echoed behind them. The footsteps, swift and powerful. They were being followed. Panic surged again. "We have to go," Gale urged. And they sprinted toward the end of the platform just as the lights flickered out, plunging them into darkness again. They burst through a door, emerging into the night, the cool air hitting their faces like a shock wave. "Are we safe?" Daisy panted, grappling with reality. Their breaths fogged in the humidity, fear still clinging to them. "Not yet." Evelyn scanned the area. "We need to keep moving." "It's crazy out here," Gale shouted, frustration spilling over. "We have to stick together." And as they gathered together, the stakes higher than ever, a looming presence emerged from the shadows, smirking, arms crossed. "You think you can run?" It was Gale's brother, looming over them with a confidence that felt unnerving. Daisy froze, caught between fear and anger, boiling inside. "What do you want?" she spat. "I just wanted to see how the game ends," he sneered. "But it looks like I'll have to change the rules. Again." All hope crumbled beneath the weight of his words, the uncertainty of survival pressing heavily like a fog. Daisy felt the tightness in her chest return, panic swirling in her throat. "This isn't over," Evelyn declared, defiantly, stepping forward, shaking but unyielding. "We're not pawns. We choose to fight." The confrontation hung heavy, tension snapping like a taut string. Would this be the end, or just another beginning? As they stood their ground, something flickered in the shadows. Was it hope, or were they marching toward a new nightmare? Daisy felt adrenaline charge through her. The game had only begun, and the night was far from over. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know about this ending. Don't wait one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions.